Saturday mornings are supposed to be quiet. Mine started with a sound that made my stomach drop, a harsh metallic scraping on the roof. It wasn't wind or a branch. It was deliberate. I walked outside with my coffee still in hand and froze. Karen, my next-door neighbor and self-appointed queen of the HOA, was standing at the bottom of a ladder garden shears raised high, slicing through the coax cables connected to my satellite dish. One final snip and the feed arm sagged like a broken limb. The TV inside flickered to black, and she actually smiled. "Problem solved," she said, like she'd just cured cancer. I stood there trying to keep my voice steady. "Karen, did you just cut my satellite line?" She folded her arms, smug as ever. "That thing is an eyesore. HOA rules say roof fixtures must be low profile." I blinked, confused. There's no height rule in the bylaws, and even if there was, you can't just destroy someone's property. She gave a practiced laugh, grabbed her ladder, and strutted off, like she'd done a public service. I looked up at the dangling wires, my blood boiling. That dish wasn't for TV, it was my work. I processed meteorological data through a NOAA research link. She hadn't just killed my Netflix, she'd nuked my job. I took pictures. The cut cables, her ladder, the timestamp. Sent a quick text to my supervisor, hardware damaged 2 hours ETA. But I didn't get 2 hours. 23 minutes later, 2 black SUVs rolled quietly up my driveway, unmarked, polished, and federal-level quiet. A man in a dark jacket stepped out, badge glinting, Department of Commerce Satellite Security Division. Mr. Reynolds. My mouth went dry. "Yes," he said. "We traced a satellite feed disruption to this address. We need to inspect your hardware." Behind him, another agent was already scanning the dish. And, of course, Karen was standing in her yard pretending to prune her roses again, eyes practically glowing with curiosity. The agent turned to me. "When did this happen?" I pointed next door. "About 30 minutes ago. My neighbor decided to enforce her own HOA rule." He knelt by the roofline. Clean cut, not weather damage. Then came the line I'll never forget. "Sir, this dish is registered under a NOAA atmospheric data program. Tampering with it is a federal offense." I didn't even have to say a word. Karen heard it. Her face drained faster than a leaky faucet. "A federal offense," she stammered. The agent nodded. "Yes, ma'am. We'll need your statement and the tool you used." Karen gave a nervous laugh, waving her shears. "Oh, come on, it's just a dish." "Just a weather satellite," the agent corrected. "Those cables transmit encrypted government data. You've interfered with the federal network." I swear I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. The agents confiscated her shears, took notes, and left with a stern warning. The whole street watched. Curtains shifted. No one said a word. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be the end of it. But humiliation doesn't humble people like Karen. It fuels them. That night I found a printed notice in my mailbox. Emergency HOA meeting. Topic: unauthorized government equipment on residential roofs. Signed by none other than Karen Porter, of course. The next day, I walked into the community hall, and there she was standing like she was leading a trial, waving color printouts of my dish like crime scene photos. "This is why we need aesthetic discipline," she declared. Someone in the back asked, "Didn't you just get visited by federal agents?" Her smile twitched. A misunderstanding. They overreacted. I waited until she finished her performance. "Karen, those agents were doing their jobs. Maybe next time, read the law before cutting cables." The room went quiet. She glared at me, eyes burning. "You think you're above the rules, don't you? Only the ones you make up," I said. After the meeting, she cornered me in the parking lot. "You humiliated me in front of everyone. You'll regret that." "You already made that clear when you climbed onto my roof," I said. Her smile tightened. "You think those agents scared me? You'll wish they had." Then she walked away, heels clicking like a countdown. I tried to brush it off. The next morning, though, she was directing a crew of landscapers in her driveway, pretending everything was normal. When I asked what she was doing, she said, "Just sprucing up after yesterday's inconvenience." I smiled. You mean when the government took your scissors? Her jaw tightened. Don't flatter yourself. My lawyer already cleared it up. I should have seen what was coming. That afternoon, I got an email from the HOA board. Compliance notice federal equipment under review. It accused me of installing unauthorized surveillance hardware. I laughed out loud. Karen had officially weaponized bureaucracy. I replied with the NOA agent's business card and told them to confirm before filing anything stupid. By evening, our HOA president Greg, a mild-mannered accountant, knocked on my door looking like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm so sorry," he said. Karen went rogue again. The board didn't approve that message. He rubbed his temples. "She's telling everyone you're running a spy antenna. Half the neighborhood thinks you work for Homeland Security." I exhaled slowly. Then maybe the real security guys should hear this too. 2 quiet days passed. Then came the knock. 2 city inspectors' clipboards in hand. "Sir, we have a work order possible zoning violation." Karen appeared right on cue, pretending to water her plants. "Oh, good, you're here," she said. "That thing might interfere with community Wi-Fi. I called Harris, the NOAA liaison." He sighed audibly. "Do not let them touch it. We're on our way." 15 minutes later, the SUVs returned. The inspectors turned pale when they saw the badges. Harris faced Karen. "Ma'am, this is your final warning. Another interference report and we'll escalate." She tried to argue, but her voice cracked. The crowd that had gathered was laughing now. Even Greg muttered, "I need popcorn." That night I sat alone in my living room exhausted. For a second I wondered if maybe I was the problem. Maybe she wasn't crazy. Maybe I was just making everything worse by fighting back. I almost convinced myself to let it go, but then my security cam pinged. 2:14 a.m. Karen, in her pink robe, was creeping up my driveway filming my dish with her phone. That video snapped me out of it. This wasn't paranoia. She was obsessed. I sent the footage to Harris. He replied immediately. "Perfect. Don't confront her yet." But Karen never waited. 2 days later, she held a safety inspection on my lawn. Clipboard, reflective vest, a crowd of neighbors. This dish, she announced, is disrupting aviation channels. "We're all in danger." I stepped onto the porch. "You staging tours now?" "Karen," she snapped. "This is community safety." I pointed to my phone. "Funny. Because the FAA just confirmed whoever filed that complaint is getting fined for false reporting." Her face froze, then she stormed off muttering. But she wasn't done. That night my mailbox was stuffed with flyers. "Remove unauthorized government equipment." She'd printed dozens. Some neighbors laughed, others avoided me. Fear spreads fast. I decided to fight it with truth and maybe a little showmanship. That weekend I hosted a barbecue. Free burgers, open yard. Once everyone had a plate, I connected my laptop to a projector. On the screen, the security footage played Karen sneaking through my yard flashlight shaking. Gasps, laughter. "I'm not showing this to embarrass anyone," I said, pausing the frame right on her face just to clear things up. "That dish is NOAA certified. The agents you've seen technicians protecting federal data. The only person trespassing was her." The crowd murmured, and Greg stood up. "The board will issue a formal clarification. This ends tonight." Except it didn't. Because at 2 a.m. my camera pinged again. Karen was back on the roof this time, climbing with her shears. The floodlights snapped on, flooding the yard in white. A pre-recorded alarm boomed, "Security breach detected. Step away from the equipment." She froze, eyes wide like a deer in headlights. I stepped outside, phone recording. "Karen, get down," she shouted. "You think you can scare me with fake alarms?" The sirens began to wail in the distance. Within minutes, a sheriff's cruiser and Harris's SUV pulled up. Deputy Caldwell got out first. "Evening, folks," she said flatly. "We got reports of trespassing and property damage." Harris pointed up. "Federal interference again." Karen's voice cracked. "I was protecting the neighborhood." Caldwell raised a hand. "Ma'am, stop talking before I cuff you for disorderly conduct." Karen's bravado collapsed. Harris added calmly, "You were warned. This is now a federal violation." She gasped. "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA enforcement officer." "Not tonight. You're not," Caldwell said, writing the citation. As they escorted her away, Karen's glare could have melted steel. "You think you've won?" she hissed, "but you haven't." I just nodded. "We'll see." A week later, she tried one last move. She sued me, claimed emotional distress harassment and illegal surveillance. In court, I handed over the footage and Noah's affidavit. The judge watched 30 seconds of Karen cutting my cable's side and said, "Case dismissed with prejudice." Karen sputtered, "But he enough." The judge cut her off. "You trespassed, vandalized, and interfered with government property. Be grateful, this isn't criminal court." That should have been the end. But 3 nights later, I woke up to headlights outside. Karen was back unloading a smaller satellite dish from a rented truck. At 1 a.m. "Karen, what are you doing?" I shouted. She yelled back, "If you get to have one, so do I." I stared in disbelief as she bolted it into her lawn, proudly taping a handwritten sign, "Private research, no trespassing." By sunrise, Harris was at my house shaking his head. "You weren't kidding," he said. "That thing's broadcasting on restricted frequencies." Police arrived an hour later and seized it. When they told her she could have jammed aviation signals, even she went pale. She still tried to blame me. He provoked me, but this time no one believed her. Weeks later, after countless citations and warnings, the federal office finally issued a formal injunction. Karen's name was on a government hearing notice. When she opened that letter, half the neighborhood saw it. She tore it up right there on the sidewalk and marched straight to my driveway. "You did this," she screamed. "You and your little government buddies?" I sighed. "No, Karen. You did this. Actions have consequences." Her voice shook with rage. "I'm not scared of you or them." "Good," I said. "Then you won't mind the court date." That night, her house went dark. No porch light, no noise. For the first time in months, the street was silent. A week later, the HOA officially suspended her from the board. Greg came by with a relieved grin. We finally rewrote the rules. No more rogue enforcement committees. We clinked glasses of lemonade on the porch. For the first time in forever, I could hear the crickets again. A few days later, a letter showed up on my doorstep. No return address, but I knew that handwriting sharp, angry loops. "You think you won," it said, "but sometimes being right isn't the same as being good." No signature. I folded it once, slid it into a drawer, and left it there. Karen disappeared after that. Some said she moved, others said she's laying low. All I know is the blue lights on my dish still blink quietly every night, steady, calm, alive. And every time they do, I remember one thing. People like her don't break rules because they hate chaos. They do it because they can't stand not being in control. And sooner or later, control always cuts its own cables.